Hi, this is Basil Green speaking, and as promised, I'm going to expand on what I was speaking about in the last episode of the Bread Basket Show. And in this episode, I'm going to be just talking about spiritual identity theft, which also has to do with getting paid for what you have done or getting the correct payments for the work that you have done. The idea here is that you have something, it belongs to you. It's usually what you are created to do, and that thing has been given to you by God. And like everything else that is good on the earth, you'll find that there will be people that will envy it and want to take it from you. So I'm going to use an example similar to what I used in the last episode with the apartheid regime claiming that they were the chosen ones. They were the ones who have been set apart. And I found out that apartheid means being set apart or being apart from the rest of the people. Whereas in the Word of God, the first people who were set apart by God, they were the chosen people, the nation of Israel, through the calling of Abraham. And thereafter, Jesus Christ came, and whoever is a follower of Jesus Christ is now set apart for God. But I want to use a natural example, something that we are familiar with. And remember, this is just an example. Now, let's just say our president, he's the highest authority here or in South Africa. He's the president. This is what the example is all about. Now, if there's someone who desires his position, we'll call that person Mr. X. Now, Mr. X desires the president's position, and Mr. X has his group of people that want him to be president, and they conjure up the secret plan to get him in to the presidency. Now, in order for them to get our current president out before he finishes his term or gets to run for president for another term, remember, the person is envious. They want what the president has because they feel they need to get that part. So the president will need to be dispositioned in order for this Mr. X to take over the presidency of South Africa and to push out the president. He needs to be dispositioned. Now he needs to be sidetracked in what he was created to do in order for that thing to be taken out from him. And that's across the board. I'm just using him as an example because I spoke about something that is happening in the presidency right now. And probably it could have happened in previous presidents' reigns. I don't know, but this is just an example. So Mr. X will come in and do everything in his power to disposition our president. I don't want to name his name because names are expensive. Just in case I get a case for defamation or whatever I get accused of. So we're going to play it safe today and just say the president. So Mr. X wants the presidency and he decides, okay, he's the first try get the president out by making him go in a different direction. Now remember the example of the story of the apartheid regime and the people of Israel. They were the chosen ones. So there are people who are chosen by God to follow him. They are set apart. So we are called to be set apart. Now, the apartheid regime came, used the scriptures, so they're using spiritual means, spiritual principles to attain their agenda or attain their goal. So Mr. X will use spiritual means, spiritual principles that govern the universe in order to get his goal of becoming the next president in a very quicker time. So the president will need to be dispositioned. Now, there's a difference between lower order principles and higher order principles. It looks the same. It sounds the same. It feels the same. Now, if, let's just say, Mr. X uses lower order principles and our president is on the path to using higher order principles, there will be trouble if both of them are using lower order principles, because if our president decides to follow the lower order principle part, he could get disposition and his thing could be taken away from him. Why am I saying that? Because if you are put dispositioned and you're not doing what you're supposed to do, the principle of use it or you will lose it will fall into play here. So if he doesn't use what he's been given, it will get taken away from him. And that's how a person walks in, for example, spiritual identity theft, because you've been identified to walk in that certain part, and now there's this person working their magic, you can say, to get their means. So in order for you to lose what you have, and in order for you to not stand out from the crowd and receive the correct payments for what you are working towards, you will have to be in disposition in order for that thing to be taken away from you. And there are many, many, many ways the Mr. X's will come and try to disposition you. They'll threaten you, they'll use propaganda, slander, different kinds of manipulative ways in order for you. They'll even cause you to doubt that you're on the right path. Now you gotta be sure, 100% sure, that you're walking in the higher order principle path, and that this is the path that you've been created to walk in. I wish I could go a little bit further into this, but I believe this is enough to set you up to walk a little bit further from where you are, and to be able to stand out from the rest of the crowd, and to position you to be able to get the correct payment for what you have worked for. Now I do have a talk, a presentation that I've designed. It's called Be the Best Version of You. I created it a while back, when I was at the Shanduka Black Umbrellas program. I never finished the program. It was just around 2017 I put this here together. I've got the workbook, everything. But the time never came, and I could have given up because that would have meant me losing what I had been given. But I haven't given it up. I'm still on the path to using what I've been given, so that it doesn't get stolen away from me and get taken away from me. It doesn't get stolen, because there are things out there vying for what we have been given, and there are many taxes. Even in the workplace, if you are alert, you will know that there are many ways that the people around you will want to take away from you, because you are competition for them. This is Basil Green speaking, and I am out until next time, because my transport going home has arrived.